There's that subscribe to earn drops message again. Good morning, everyone. I don't know what to do about that. Don't show again, that's what I need to do about it. Dismiss. There it is. Nice. Resolved. And we start with the fourth today. Just because, well, I was thinking about starting with the fifth. Beethoven Symphony, this is, for anyone wondering. But then I thought I would warm up with the fourth into the fifth. What do we do? New game? Fresh run? Yeah. Now let's go. We are sitting up again today, not in the usual reclined position with feet up. My feet are on the floor, and I'm sat kind of upright. Very weird. Very unusual for me. Don't hurt your feet, Kuro.
狼よ。
足の源一郎参る。破れられぬ。
God, the fourth is beautiful as well, isn't it? think I like every single Beethoven symphony. Hi gentlemen, how's it going, dude? What's this idea of mine? I'm glad you asked. It's a little bit far-fetched, but it just came to me yesterday in my lounge, which is fast becoming the inspiring room I wanted it to be. Idea is to run an orchestra. Because I've been sad recently finding that you basically can't really see or go to live orchestral music anymore. And I feel like our culture could do with a bit of revitalizing. And I thought I could run it as like a business model which fits with my view of the world. Like, not for profit, purely donation based. Everyone's invited to join in sort of vibe. So imagine like you're walking down the street and you hear some incredible orchestral music like this. And you're free to go and watch it. You're free to go and listen. It's free for anyone to attend. But you can donate to the cause if you want, sort of thing. How cool would that be? I don't know, maybe you'd think that's an atrocious idea and that would just piss people off, but I don't know, what do you think? I guess that part of the idea of putting the idea out there is getting some feedback. First impressions? Pretty cool, actually. Also, I beat Ishin and I'm almost done with my second run. Oh, nice, dude. Well done. Congrats. See, he's not that difficult. So you're like, you're wanting to run the game now? As opposed to like, you just playing it casually? Back in a few minutes, gotta do some things. Okay, man. No worries. Enjoy the music in the meantime. Risky. Risky business. And then I got safe at the end. What's the idea? I'm gonna run an orchestra. Fucking what? Yeah, that's kind of the response I was expecting. Huh? You're gonna do what now? Well, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna invite musicians to see if they want to do it, because obviously I can't do it. I can't do an orchestra by myself. But that's why it's analogous to my whole plan to change the world. You know, I can't do it by myself. But what I can do is invite people to join in with an idea that I've had. And if people don't want to join, I need to revise my idea. That's fine too, you know. It's almost like I've got nothing to lose. That's why it's going to be called the Nothing to Lose Orchestra. That didn't go very well. Yeah, we made up for it. Bit messy, but... And speed kill bonus, let's go. Used the higher terrain to my advantage and got some headshots, sorry horsey. Yeah, and the beautiful thing about the idea is I can try it just by sending emails. That's all I've got to do, send emails. Communicate with people, invite people. See what they say. Let details of the idea work themselves out as we go along. Inviting people too, that if they want to be involved, to help develop the ideas as well. You know, that's the whole point. I will merely be the chief organizer, trying to facilitate a wonderful thing. A man with a vision. And the fourth symphony is beautiful, isn't it? They're all beautiful. The world needs more music like this. Especially live performed as well. Really inspiring. Really available for everyone. Not just the elites who can afford theatre passes and whatnot. You're not dead yet. There we go. Bonk. All I know, it was incredible. It was an incredible feeling to have that idea and to think about it yesterday. So much so that I got very emotional. That's all I know. And that's something in itself, you know? The whole point being to advertise the fact that we can make the world a beautiful place if we come together and make it so. And what better way to advertise that fact than running an orchestra? Because what is an orchestra other than humans coming together in harmony to create something beautiful? What, I ask you? Oh, a wall hug is what I wanted to do. Sure. Right, do we get past Genie? Let's see.
参る忍びよ再びまみえようと
Still got to death blow, nice.
まだニコの忍び
Bit sketch there, but we're okay. Just gotta get past an easy phase 3 now. Nice. First run, we get past Genie. Let's go. It's good stuff. Been a while since we had a run past Genie. Only since, well, certainly not since I got back from flu, so nice. Let's see how far we can get. Okay. Right in your face, Kira. Right in your face. I don't really know if that is safe to do that like that, but we haven't been hit yet, so I guess all I can say is it's safe so far. But him going red early and shooting, yeah, it's a bit sketch, probably. Yesterday somehow I ended up with 2 Echo sugars when I got to Roberto, which didn't make any sense to me because there's 1 here and that's all I should get, I believe. Was he moving? It's a bit weird. Yeah, I've got 1 sugar. I don't know how I ended up with 2 yesterday. Very weird. Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. I thought I could get 4 attacks in there no matter what happened. So I'd already buffered an R1 and couldn't parry. Huh. Weird. Oh, I need to do Armored Warrior again then from a save state, because that's a bit confusing. Good run though. I'll take that for a first run of the day, any day. Any day, any time. Yeah, that's a strange. Maybe I just out of practice on Roberto. I don't know what happened differently there. If only it was that easy. Crunchy's here. Crunchy's here mid-week. Hey, birdie. I'm going to run an orchestra, Crunchy. I'm going to organise a free orchestra for the world. How are you doing? What are you doing here? Yeah, well, I thought, you know what, I've been thinking about a business plan, right, that could change the world. How can I use money without just seeing money as like, we need to get rid of it? How could I possibly utilize it in a way that transforms the world and then makes it naturally obsolete, right? The idea being, you effectively need a company or a business that everyone wants to work for and invest in, right? Because then if everyone in the world works for it and invests in it, that's when you can be like, we don't need money anymore, you know? Money just naturally falls away. And been thinking about an organisation that transcends borders, nationalities, politics, economics, all of that stuff. A business can do that, right? Because I can run a business however I want to run it. If every human being in the world is invited to join in, they can. Obviously, the starting point and how to advertise it was the biggest question. But then yesterday, I spent time, I got high for the first time in a while, not gonna lie, I got high, in my creatively inspiring lounge, which I've created and decorated recently, as you know. I put up the pictures, and so I was just sat there listening to Beethoven, and then the idea came to me. I thought a starting point for this business, because recently I don't know if you know, I don't know if I said, when I got into Beethoven, I looked for where I could see an orchestra perform Beethoven live, because that's what I really wanted. And I couldn't find it anywhere. It's not available anymore. And then I thought, that's really sad. We're losing a lot of our culture through the new social media age of sound bites and shitty music, right? Basically. And live performances like orchestras and people, you know, incredible things that human beings can do, being underinvested in. Anyway, then I thought, what if I could get a group of musicians, an orchestra together, starting in my city, or wherever really, an open space where people can come and go, where there's people passing, and put on a live orchestra of the Beethoven symphonies. And it's completely free, but people will be able to donate as much as they want, either through time, helping out, through work, or if they want to just say, wow, that was amazing, I walked past an orchestra, stayed for an hour, it was incredible, I just want to give them 20 quid, you know. They can donate really easily via an app or something. Super easy. And then all the proceeds, right, this is the business side, any donations, any money coming in to the organisation is split evenly amongst whoever's involved in the organisation, right? Completely evenly. And all the money is completely transparent, right? And then later on in the bigger idea of things, what if it was to grow? So initially that's like, okay, any incoming donations are split evenly amongst the orchestra and everyone involved in the organisation, right? So it would be initially operating on good faith, like, let's see what happens, and we have an even split, right, to cover our expenses or whatever, or basically keeping expenses to the minimum initially, so there's not much outgoing. And then everyone shares what comes in. Everyone shares the investment, right? We're putting on a performance. We want to see if the world wants to invest in it, and if it does, we share the investment, right? That's the principle. And then say, for instance, if it may flop, maybe no one wants to invest in it, maybe no one wants to do it, it's just an idea. If no one wants to do it and I can't get an orchestra together, at least I tried, maybe I'll get some feedback, maybe I'll have another idea later, right? So there's nothing to lose. That's the great thing about the idea. I can do it via email to start with, just inviting people, hey, I've had this idea, do you want to play music and change the world? This is how I think we could do it. blah, 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 blah. Word it and advertise it as best I can. And if I do get a group of people interested to do this, then we can try it and see what the world thinks, right? Because it's not every day you walk down the street and you come across a live orchestra playing Beethoven symphonies, and you're free to watch and listen for as long as you want. You know, so that doesn't happen every day. And that, I think, could really inspire people, because I think our culture lacks a lot of inspiration. Inspiration and a demonstration of what we can achieve if we come together. That's why I like the orchestra idea as a starting point, because it's a nice, it's a really fitting analogy for the kind of thing I want to achieve in the world, which is people coming together to create something beautiful. And that's exactly what an orchestra does. It has a lot of people, like 50 people. I don't know how many people are in an orchestra, but all with instruments on their own. They sound bland and boring. I mean, sure, you can get soloists that sound good, but together they come together and create something incredible, right? Which is the live performance of an orchestra. And as part of this, like, you know, then I envisaged, well, people walking by and like, maybe they donate, maybe they don't, maybe they're like, what the fuck is this orchestra doing here? And you have me and maybe other volunteers like explaining what we're doing, like having little areas nearby, like, what's this all about, ? You know, come and ask, or visit this website or something. And then it advertises the organisation and what we're doing, what we're trying to achieve, and how it could grow into any area, and doesn't just have to be live music. It could be anything, right? And you can be involved. Everyone's invited to be involved in this organisation. Either if you want to get on with your day job, you've got loads of money, but you want to invest in something, you can donate money. If you don't have a job and you don't have any money, but you want a job or you want to be involved in something, you can donate your time through offering a proposal for what might help the organisation and what you want to achieve. And then if the organisation together democratically deciding on this proposal thinks, wow, that's a really great idea, let's get that person on board and see where that goes, great, okay. So monetarily, if the money starts flowing, right? Say, for example, if the money starts flowing and we get a lot of investment, I envisage advertising to everyone, anyone who wants to be involved, through complete transparency of the financial operations of the organisation, a completely trustworthy organisation, where it's like, look, do you want a job? You can create your own job, right? You apply to this organisation with a proposal saying, I think I can make the world or your organisation, or contribute to your organisation and the betterment of society in this way. And then if the organisation democratically decides that's a great idea, come on board. What you get in return, this is again when the money starts flowing and you know, say it's growing, you get an expense account, right? So no one in the organisation, so again, this is in the future if money starts flowing. It's completely transparent. No one gets like a set salary for a certain job. Basically, it's still operating on the principle of everyone shares the investment that's coming in, right? And I thought, you can create your own job, join us. If we agree that that's a good idea and we think that's worth investing in, then you can do that. And what you get in return is an expense account. You never have to worry about money again. You don't get 20 grand a year, you don't get 50 grand a year, you don't get 100 grand a year. You don't get any money per se, but what you do get is an expense account. Call it a credit card, right? That money, your expenditure, because you're now part of the organization, and this is the only thing you have to agree to if you want to join the organization, is your expenditure is completely transparent. Okay? Maybe everyone gets an allowance of like £100 a month or something where it's just cash and it doesn't get tracked and you can like treat yourself with it or something. I don't know. Maybe there's something like that. But generally, you get an expense account. You never have to worry about money again. Right? As long as you're part of the organization, as long as you uphold what you've proposed to do, as long as your activity is productive, etc., 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 and everyone's transparent about what they're doing, especially with the money. So, for example, you're now part of the organization. You can now not worry about bills anymore, not worry about food expenditure, you know. But all you have to bear in mind is that your expenditure is tracked. Everyone can see it, including mine. I think that's fair because everyone's investing in this thing together, right? And that's a natural way for people to have freedom from financial constraint, but also be held accountable for their actions. Just automatically, transparently. Are you with me? So, for example, because someone could say, well, okay, they make a great proposal, they come to the organisation, then they just spend £1 million on a house for themselves and a yacht and stuff with their expense account. But that will be automatically controlled and policed because obviously the organisation, if it's at this stage, would be working with banks and the credit card, whatever the system is for the expenses, so that any kind of anomalous transaction like that would be kind of immediately seen by everyone, right? So it's like, well, you can try to do that if you want. But what you've then done is flagged up to the entire organisation that you are someone who wanted to cheat the system for your own personal gain. Okay? And that goes on your record with the organisation. I think that's fair, right? Alternatively, if you have a proposal, you want to make the world a better place, you want to join in, we've accepted you into the organisation, and your expenses are at a normal level compared to everyone else in terms of bills, rent, food expenditure. You have what you need. You're spending kind of roughly normally, and obviously with the data involved, that would be naturally recognised as a sort of normal baseline level for what people need to spend on themselves generally. And maybe you've spent a lot of money on your expense account in order for you to enact your proposal, i.e. you needed all this equipment to make this product to do this, which is part of the proposal that we all agreed to when we brought you on board, you know. Then it's like, fair enough, you know, you've had to spend £500,000 on that investment, but because it's all transparent, we can see that you've spent it on that and you're putting it to use in that area. Therefore, you know, it's not a problem. So basically what that gives people is financial freedom to be productive, and everyone in a trustworthy organisation naturally is held accountable for their actions. For me personally, that's kind of what I would want to be involved in. And that's what the idea kind of started going towards. Starting with an orchestra, a voluntary pursuit. Obviously, it's like, maybe I managed to get an orchestra together. Maybe we play it organised with the council or whatever organised with some space, some landowner, and they've gone, yep, you can use our land. Companies say, yep, you can use our chairs and instruments, whatever. Let's try it and see what happens. We put on a big show. No one invests in it. It's a complete flop. We try it a few times. Okay, fair enough. At least we tried, you know? Nothing to lose. Sort of thing. This is why it's called the Nothing to Lose Orchestra and the Nothing to Lose organisation. That's what it's going to be called anyway. I don't know if I'm explaining it well. This is why I want feedback. How are we going to recruit? Yeah, any questions is great, because obviously it's quite clear in my mind, but I'm trying to explain it clearly as a vision for you. So any feedback is great. How am I going to recruit other people? Initially, with the orchestra, I will be emailing people to say this. I've got this idea. Do you want to see what happens? Do you want to be involved? After that, say if we got an orchestra together and we put on a show and people started donating to it and there's interest in it and stuff, as part of the show, it's not just going to be live music for live music's sake. It's going to be live music for inspiring change in the world, right? So with that will come, I don't know, pamphlets, a website, information. I envisage, you know, like the free orchestra, but with like QR codes available for people to, you know, snap a photo of on their phone, and then they get a website up, and it's like, this is what we're about. This is what this is. So not only are people going, wow, there's a live orchestra here, and isn't it incredible? And wow, it's making me cry, and this is so inspiring. Why is it here? They have answers to why it's here. You know, they can talk to people as well. Like, I would be there. I envisage me being there, maybe other volunteers being there, on hand with a t-shirt or whatever. No, more like a suit, but some sort of advertisement for, like, if you have any questions, come and ask. You know, this is what we're doing. So recruiting people from there is, you start with an orchestra, you put on live performances, you advertise what the sort of investment level is, you know. All of the money is completely transparent. It's shared between the people in the organisation. And the recruiting of the people from there is, everyone's invited to join in this organisation in any way, right? It doesn't have to be live music. It could be like, you know what, I've always wanted to do this in society, but there's been no opportunity for it because there's no jobs in that area, for example. Like with me wanting to organise society differently, but there isn't a job in that area other than going into politics, which is, you know, corrupted by money and blah, 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 which has always put me off. So it's like, this is a different way of doing things. Everyone's invited to join, okay, talking about recruitment. And the recruitment process is quite simple. You submit a proposal to the organisation for what you want to do. This is what I was saying about, you can create your own job title. You can create your own job. You submit a proposal to the organisation, say, I want to do this for society, or I want to help out with the organisation in this area. The organisation could say, you know, we need help in this area. We have not enough people doing this and stuff like that as well. But open proposals are completely welcome at any time too. Okay? So this is what I mean by everyone's invited to join. It's not like an insular business where it's like, we don't have any vacancies at the moment, no one else can join. That will never happen. There will always be an opportunity to join us. Okay? The process, you start with a proposal. You say, I want to do this, I've got this idea, I can help in this way. And then the organisation together, or whoever is involved in the proposal reviews in the organization, whatever it is, democratically acts to decide whether to accept that proposal or not. Okay? And then if you're accepted, you get to put that proposal into action, having all the support that the organization could possibly offer you. Monetarily, informationally, with expertise from other people in that area who were already working in that area, for example. And as a reward, as an incentive, you get this expense account, right? You don't get a salary, but you get a card. You basically get financial freedom, okay? And the only thing you have to accept in terms of terms and conditions for joining the organization is that your expenditure is completely transparent to everyone in the organization. So if you accept those terms and your proposal is accepted, you get to work for the organization in order to put that proposal into practice, or develop it or change it as you go, you know. Your actions monetarily, your expenditure is always tracked by everyone in the organization, or at least it's transparent, it's open for everyone to view. But along with that, you get complete freedom to do what you want. So it's kind of like a natural way of regulating and promoting fair behavior in a collective organization, you know. I think that could work, personally. Because it's like, here, we're giving you responsibility. And that's what most people want in life, right? They want to feel responsible for something. They want a project that they believe in and that naturally motivates them, and that they have opportunity to explore and try to implement to make the world a better place, right? I think most people would want that in their life. I know I do. And this is a way to do it while taking money out of the equation, taking greed out of the equation too, because any greed would immediately be flagged up as an anomaly on the financial data of the organization, which is transparent. You know, what's this person doing trying to buy a yacht when they are working, when they're supposed to be, you know, doing that? Recruiting people is going to be toughest part. Okay, so what about what I've said do you think isn't or wouldn't be attractive for people? See if you can answer that question, and also tell me if anything that I've said has made you wonder or made you think that doesn't really make sense or anything like that. Yeah, I will let you explain. I'm going to continue from here even though I'm not on a run, just because for something to do. We were on a good run and we got hit on Roberto, by the way. Somehow I just kind of completely messed up the timings. I got a bit nervous and made a stupid mistake. But that's really good for a first run of the day, making it to Roberto. Yeah, no worries, dude. Yeah, I'm looking forward to your feedback, but yeah, take your time. I shall see you in a few minutes, sir. Good to think on it as well. Appreciate you. Very much looking forward to your feedback, because pacing around like trying to poke holes in my idea yesterday and just being overwhelmed with joy at having a good idea for the first time in my life, like that may actually work. But it's also important to not get too attached to the idea and let the idea, which is what I've talked about on the channel before, you know, not getting attached to ideas and letting the idea sort of naturally change and develop. The idea being the important thing, not my attachment to it, sort of thing. So this is a great, no matter what happens with this idea, this is why I got emotional yesterday, I think, because just by virtue of having a great idea that's felt like it could work, felt great. Even if the idea flops immediately, just having the idea and having that process for the first time has felt amazing.
銭が貯まるまでは
I love his dialogue. Mm-hmm.
そしてこの敷地数牙の
まだ埃がひどい。
Yeah, the fifth has to be my favorite if I had to choose. Oh, I didn't put a... Yeah, whatever. Already been hit, so it doesn't matter. Just forgot to buff. Well, we're still 100% on that strat, so it's hard to alter it. Hey, Wolf. Not forgetting more draw. It's funny because that's exactly what I wanted from my lounge, you know? And it happened yesterday. A place to inspire creativity. And the way I am naturally creative is through thought, ideas. And just sitting there in my lounge, well, I say just, I did get high. And I have to attribute some of it to the weed. Because, and why not? Because it is proven to help creativity, right? Just makes sense. Ooh, what? That's new. That's new. Okay, good learning hit. This is why it's good to continue runs sometimes. Huh. Go from centipede again then. Interesting. Huh. What did I do differently? I think I wasn't like timing the swim speed increase buttons presses quite quick enough, maybe? Oh well, that's sort of trash because it didn't swim straight away. So I just swim around here now. That's the strat, and now I should be safe. So it's not actually tested what I want to test. I think there is a an old save state I can try that's after centipede, so I don't have to keep doing centipede. Centipede. This one. Yeah. This should be just before the jump. Yeah, nice, perfect. Yeah, because last time it did this, it did that one like immediately. Okay, I guess let's just continue. I think I'll put it down to simply not timing the swim sprints correctly or tightly enough. I think I was just a bit lax with the swim sprinting, which may have just invited that second hit from the snake, like immediately after the first one. I don't know. I've never seen it before, so I think that's what happened. Yeah, this is exactly why it's good to do the full run sometimes, even if you've already been hit, because that was an important hit to take, I would say. And by virtue of all of this, I'm starting to enjoy the run in general more again. Which bodes well for the motivation to keep it going. And therefore the potential to get it done one day. Not that that's really the goal. That's the ultimate goal, shall we say. As long as I'm enjoying the process, that's what matters. That's my point. GG girl, thanks for all 3 timings. Very kind of you. I'm still looking forward to Crunchy's feedback. Which lets me know I'm in the right place. I'm not wanting to defend my idea, I'm wanting to grow it. So any feedback that helps tinker with and improve the idea is, if that's welcome, you know you're in the right place. If you're like, hey, how dare you shit on my idea, then you know you're in the wrong place. You know what I mean? That is not the right mentality to have. I'm overthinking the tree, I swear, these days. I don't know. I guess I just need to go a bit higher before jumping up. It's Crunchy's favourite boss. It's Crunchy's favourite boss. Crunchy's favourite boss is dead. And I actually didn't really like this rendition of Beethoven's Fifth initially. When Or is this the sixth now? Anyway, the rendition of Beethoven's Fifth here that we've been listening to, because it was played really slowly, but now I actually really appreciate it. So that's really sweet. Anything that makes the fifth last longer, right? But yeah, I didn't really feel like the speed worked. It felt too slow, but now I don't feel like it's too slow. Now I just feel like it's slow, but it works in its own right, you know. Do I need those spirit emblems? I always go for them and it messes up my jump through the window. Maybe I'll just try without going for them and see if I have enough. I assume I do. I don't know how you can check. I think you check at a rest station, don't you? Rest station. A rest station. Yes, because that's what they're called. A rest station. It's not even a bonfire anymore, it's a rest station. And yeah, getting emotional about the idea. Got it. Felt wonderful, I think, by virtue, like I said, of having the idea. Not by virtue of becoming attached to that idea. It was very much a feeling of joy and relief at having had an actual idea that might work. It doesn't matter if it does work, because that gives me hope for what I'm doing in life, I suppose. I think that's what it's about. And what I'm doing in life is trying to come up with ideas that can be practically implemented, that I can devote my life to make the world a better place, you know. And finally, having had an idea, some sort of practical idea, again, doesn't matter if it works or not, but having had one made me feel joy to the point of tears again. I was crying quite a lot yesterday, just feeling the joy that came with that process. And that was a beautiful thing. So it was a wonderful day. And it all came from saying, right, I'm just going to have a day off today. On my day off, I did like 2 hours of gardening. Got high and then had then had creative ideas for how to move forward, like an actual practical plan. Was pacing around in the garden in the sun, listening to Beethoven on my earbuds, like, you know, air conducting, like working through this plan in my mind, seeing how it could work, trying to find pitfalls, you know, and the whole process was just, what a beautiful day. And I just wanted to share with everyone the music, the inspiration, the idea. And I guess that's why the idea of running an orchestra, at least to begin with, felt so right and completely unexpected. Like a few weeks ago, if you'd said, like, you'll come up with an idea to run an orchestra, I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? I mean, at the time I wasn't even listening to classical music. So I have to thank getting ill with the flu, and somehow that leading me to listen to Beethoven out of nowhere, and become more and more intimately acquainted with his symphonies. As you can tell by it being the soundtrack to the stream for the past 3 streams. And immediately being blocked on YouTube and Twitch for copyright issues the first time when I thought, oh, surely I can save this to the VOD because it's 250-year-old music or whatever. It's like, nope. Anyway. Ape time. Yesterday, because of having such a good day in the evening, I was excited to get up this morning and talk about it on stream and flesh out the ideas on stream and welcome feedback from people on stream. And similarly, my parents are visiting on Thursday, bringing some stuff for the lounge that they have spare. And also wanting to see what I've done with the lounge, hanging the pictures where I've hung them and stuff. And I will broach the idea with them as well, see what they think. You know, I'm going to mull it over for another few days, maybe a week or so, and if it still feels good, I might start sending some emails and see if I can get anyone that's interested. Just see who's interested. Maybe no one's interested and then I have to think of a different idea, and that's fine. But imagine people are interested and it takes off. We've got nothing to lose, right? By trying. Just a bit of time emailing people, communicating with people, thinking of ideas. And that's what I want to do with my life, so that's not a waste of time at all. It's all part of the way, it's all part of the process. And that's what I'm living for. What I think of your scream. And we got Ape in 1 divine confetti. Let's go. That was smooth. If only we were on a real run. But even though we're not, it's still good. Oh, nice ape arse shot there at the end. Bonus. Give me that flower. Give me that flower. Give me that. Beautiful. Maybe if we go in with the Gatchins, Emma won't see us. What do we think? You see us, Emma? Yep, she sees us.
Might.
When she's keeping me on tenterhooks here. I'm so looking forward to the feedback. Still, good things come to those who wait and all that. Patience is a virtue and blah blah blah. Come on, Crunchy! Get them chores done. We're gonna get the run right here. Right here. Imagine this is the run. This is the real run. And I haven't been hit twice.
Sekiro!
Yeah, that's what to do if he pauses. You just wait for him to do his next thing and dodge it. If he doesn't do anything, get scared. I guess. Alright, let's go again. Good run. Sweet. Really good run. Wow, I've been streaming an hour and 25 already. Oh, I have been talking though. I've been monologuing about my idea. Yeah. True, true, true.
狼よ。いや、これ。いや、今、あ、
Yo, Crunchy, welcome back, dude. I have been looking forward very much to your feedback. But no pressure, take your time. I'm just saying that in a nice way. Also, you didn't explain why you're not at school, young man. College, sorry.
Ashina Genichi. Mile.
Oh, full confidence, I pressed circle for Mikiri counter. I guess I can still make that error on Tutorial Genie. I'm like, it's a thrust, I just press circle. Oh, I can't do that yet. Good run. Not quite as good as last time, getting to Roberto, and a full run with only 2 hits, but you know. It is what it is. We go again. Full confidence, press circles. How do I get it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You have online class in the evening today instead of offline? Okay. That makes sense. So you're chilling at home. Avoiding the long bus journey. Is it a bus journey? The long drive, anyway, to college. What did you say it was? 2 hours both, either 2 hours each way, or something crazy? I really hope you get to change college. But you have to wait like a year for that, right? Until next academic year, is it? End of this year you find out, maybe? Something like that. Do 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 do. Right, you don't have Mikiri counter. Deflect only. Remember.
Ashina Genichiro. Mile. られぬ。ごくごその
I'm gonna try climb again tomorrow as well. It's been a long time, obviously, since being ill and stuff. Test out my energy levels. That'd be nice. Bit cooler tomorrow morning, so that's the plan. Hopefully I can finish the year with climbing and getting strong without getting a setback again, like another illness. First it was that cold that was, you know, fine, I wasn't really that ill, but it stopped me climbing. And then it was flu. Maybe we go the rest of the year without getting ill. That'd be nice. I haven't been this ill in like a period of 6 months for maybe not ever, I don't know. Mind you, the cold, you know. But given that I had COVID last summer as well, it's like I've had enough of coronaviruses, thanks. I've had all of them. I'm done. I've had the man-made ones and the worst of the natural ones, and good patience. Not very quick, but you know, it's still better than getting grabbed. Want a melody? that was close. Yes, there's the wall of text. There it is. Thanks, Crunchy. I'll read it in a second. I want to see if we can get past this fella. Ooh, damn you, camera lock on. Lock off, rather. Had me scared. Managed to get it back though. We saved it. GG Gyubu. Sorry, horsey. Why I said it was going to be difficult is because I thought there isn't going to be enough stable payment in the beginning, as I thought no one's going to join, but I started thinking deeply and realised that there are people who sing as a hobby could join to improve and get experience because of the whole public performance aspect, but still to find those people you have to work hard. Absolutely, mate. That's really sweet that you actually went away and did some chores and thought about it more deeply and came to that conclusion, because that conclusion right there is faith in humanity, right? It's coming from a place of actually people might want to do that for the right reasons and not just for money initially, you know. But potentially, if that idea was to grow, they wouldn't have to worry about money ever again, and they would lead a meaningful life, which is what I want for everybody in the world, right? So that's hence the idea, hence the business structure that I laid out, because I think that's a way of achieving that. Or at least it's a start of an idea that could, you know, lead to something that would be more viable. So thanks for your feedback. And this is coming from a place, as you know me, of someone who just wants meaningful life for everyone in the world and to make it a better place. It's a way of using money and using the system, setting up an organisation, a business, whatever you want to call it, in a way that's designed to take the focus away from money making and profiting and greed through a different business structure. And that's what I feel like I need to work on as like an idea, as something to set up, as something to invite people to, that's tangible, that's not just, hey, let's make a community to change the world, come together democratically and all have a vote on how we organise our activity, because that's too abstract. And people are going to go, yeah, it's a nice idea, we might have a nice conversation, they won't come back to the stream. And nothing will grow from it because there's no practical elements to it. There's no framework to it. There's nothing that people can go, actually that might work, you know? Idea is really great. I'm glad you think so. I'm gonna think more about it and ask you more questions. Yes, please do. Because like I was saying, maybe when you weren't here, it's about the idea and making the idea as good as possible for everybody. It's not about me coming up with an idea and then defending that idea and trying to ram it down people's throats and saying any opposition to it is not welcome. Because that's the opposite of being the right way, you know. The right way is come up with a great idea and let it flourish, let it be improved upon by anyone who wants to improve it. We work with the idea, not with any personal attachment to the idea, you know? That's the point. I really like the idea that there is always be jobs available for people. That's the thing, yeah. It's an organisation that could work in that way and say, look, if you want to work for us, anyone's invited, anyone in the world, anywhere. All you got to do is come up with a proposal. You can come up with as many proposals as you want. And the organisation will decide if that is possible, if that could be beneficial, and as a result of accepting that proposal, if you want to join us, you get an expense account, so you don't have to worry about money anymore, wherever you are in the world, right? So people then aren't doing it for the money, they're doing it for an escape from financial constraint and maximum opportunity to be meaningfully productive in their lives. And that's the invitation, right? That's what you get if you join us. How am I going to recruit people? I feel like I answered that at length before. Can you be more specific? I talked about that invitation, right? I just said it again. It's an open invitation. Anyone who wants to join submits a proposal with an idea. Okay, I won't repeat myself again. Sorry. What was my menu doing then? It was flickering all over. Have I done the... Yes, we go to Bull now. Oh, you sent it by mistake. How are you going to recruit people? How are you going to recruit people? How are you going to recruit... Ah! Noise cancellation monkeys stopped working. I had to click my fingers. The monkeys fell off their wheels, or whatever they're on in there. No? Okay. Fucking hell, dude. That was so risky. Got away with it. Oof. A battered bull. There he goes. Yeah, that was super risky, getting in front of him like that. But thankfully I landed the thrust and it staggered him. I had to stop him headbutting me. Literally about to get hit. Never mind, it was a stupid question. There are no stupid questions here, Crunchy. But fair enough if you don't want to ask it. The more questions, the better. The more feedback, the more wondering, the more discussion about the idea helps develop the idea and make the idea better, you know? So it's always welcome. And that's why I was super excited yesterday after having the idea in the evening. I was super excited to get streaming again, and I thought, this is what I can use streaming for. It's fleshing out ideas, asking people for feedback, etc. You know, it's a way for me to talk without feeling like I'm just talking to myself, without actually just talking to myself, rather. And connect with people and share ideas and get feedback on them. It's not necessarily, doesn't necessarily have to be, oh, this is another idea. I was going to say, it doesn't necessarily have to be the place where the community grows from and that starts the thing that I want to achieve in the world. But what it can do is, I thought, with this orchestra idea, another thing that could, maybe not initially, but what could come from it is live streaming it on Twitch, live streaming the orchestra outside in public, live streaming the event, right, on Twitch. And, advertising that if you want to donate to this cause or if you want to get involved, you can through Twitch, having links on it and stuff. YouTube, live streaming as well, recorded on YouTube, free for everyone to watch forever. Every single performance, no paywalls, completely free for everyone in the world to watch, everywhere. It's a way to advertise and promote the idea by providing a service of inspirational live music for the world, effectively. So it doesn't necessarily have to be confined to just the public walking by in the place where they're performing. It can be live streamed, it can be on YouTube, all of that stuff fairly easily as well. And that's what could take it global, because how often on Twitch or YouTube do you see a live orchestra in public, attracting crowds, inspiring people, is there for a reason? You just don't see that, do you? So that's gonna attract some sort of attention, I would hope. I know it would attract mine if I walked down the street and saw a live orchestra, free to listen to. And they're there to promote some sort of cause and some new organisation that anyone can join. I'd be like, oh my god, this is what I've been looking for in society. And I suppose that's part of the reason, or the root of the idea, right, is because it goes back to that idea of being the change you want to see in the world. And I thought to myself, how the hell can I be the change that I want to see in the world? Because I need everyone on board. But I finally, yesterday, had this idea of a starting point, that might actually, that has a chance of achieving what I want to achieve. And it's the first time I've had a practical idea that has a chance of achieving what I want to achieve. And just by virtue of having that, yesterday was incredible, And everyone loves music, it brings everyone together exactly, so it just felt that's why I became overwhelmed with joy at the idea, because I thought, wow, this could work, because it just started fitting in my mind and I could visualize it, and it was like, at the very least it's worth a try, because there's nothing to lose. If I try to organize this thing, all I have to do is send emails and invite musicians and maybe an orchestra that's already organized, try to find somewhere to do it, invite any volunteers who want to help, and if I get enough people involved, all it is emails, getting an organization, and that's my job, right, is to create this thing and organize it, and then let the cards fall where they may, if we do get enough interest to put a show on. If we don't, at least I tried, and maybe I'll get some feedback as to why I couldn't get people together to do this thing, and then I come up with the next idea. So this is what I'm talking about not being attached to an idea. Just by virtue of having that idea was a wonderful thing in itself, because there is nothing to lose from it, as far as I can tell, and everything to gain. Like I say, even if it doesn't work, even if nothing comes of it, at least something will always come of it, because at least I'll have some feedback in that idea didn't work and I need a different idea, So there's literally, it's a win-win-win, no matter what happens.
再びまみえよ
Oh, I guess I mistimed my approach. This is what happens if you yap before a boss. This is why I often go straight into a boss rather than like pause. I just completely mistimed it. But it's fine. What if people who want to... And I saw your message and I thought about it. What if people who want to join are from far away? Well, obviously there will be logistics involved. Initially, I would imagine getting a local orchestra together where I am, because then I can be involved in it. I can meet people face to face. I can go to the thing when it happens. You know, that makes sense for a starting point. I imagine if, say, for example, if it was to take off, if it was to be a success, and then other musicians and other orchestras want to be involved in the organization, but they're in a different city or a different country, then great. They can be involved too. We can work together over the internet. I can say what worked, what didn't work, how it happened, you know, give them any advice, and then they can set up their own orchestra and their own event wherever they are, you know. And in that way you can have franchises popping up of this organization everywhere, because everyone is invited to join in with this new idea of an organization of, you know, and it can start with live music, and then someone might say, well, you know, I want to do science or do something completely different, but also want to be part of the organization. It's like you can be in a similar way, right? Because the fundamentals of how it works can apply to any human endeavor. So it's highly transferable. It's maximally transcending, if you see what I mean. No limits, maximum opportunity, right? That's the whole point. So what if people who want to join it from far away, like I say, they can set up their own thing in that area with the organization's support, or get involved however they can, wherever they are, over the internet, for example. Stupid question again. Obviously, you want to start near you. No, it's not a stupid question at all, because I thought about that as well. I thought, well, how could it spread? You know, how could it spread around? But obviously, for a starting point, if I'm organising this thing, I'll need access to it, right? To oversee it and to organise it and to make it happen. And I'll definitely want to be there, you know, if it does happen. So it makes sense to start locally, and the city that I'm in, I think, could be open to it as an idea, especially because it's supposed to be cultured, but is increasingly lacking culture, as is everywhere in the world. And like I said, I was very sad after getting into Beethoven and thinking, well, the city that I'm in surely has some live orchestras to go and see quite regularly, only to find that there's like one performance a year, and the one performance left this year by an orchestra is playing music that I don't like, because I listened to some of it and I was like, ooh, that's horrible. You know. So why not make my own orchestra and make it happen myself? Right? Why not? What else am I doing? I'm not doing anything else with my time. I might as well try. Fail or not. Because if it succeeds, holy shit, would that be amazing, you know? And if it fails, at least I know it's failed and I've tried and can learn from that failure and come up with the next idea. So like I said, it's a win-win, no matter what happens. Did you hear clicking there? I just clicked my fingers a few times and it transmitted and then stopped transmitting. I'm playing with the AI monkeys again. You hear that, yeah. It should have stopped now. I hope at least it doesn't sound too bad. I hope through this conversation you've heard everything that I've been saying, because I haven't been playing with sound settings since I got ill, basically, not really. But I know, well, I hope you would say at any point if my voice is cutting out or you miss certain parts of words and you think I can't really hear you, or, you know, something's wrong with your mic, and you would tell me, right? I can hear your voice perfectly. Okay, perfect. Well, that's the main thing. It doesn't matter if the odd bit of sound gets through, as long as the voice is getting through in its totality. That's the main thing. Thank you for confirming, my friend. Anyway, hence the title, hence the good mood. What a day yesterday was. I have to attribute it to the weed as well. You know, I know drugs and weed and things like that can be a contentious issue in society, but it's a fact that they increase and assist with creative endeavors, right? And if you don't believe that, look at the history of rock and roll and music in general, and how many musicians and artists have been inspired by taking drugs, right? And I know it from personal experience, especially yesterday. You know, it could have so happened that I would have had the idea anyway if I'd just sat in my lounge looking around, feeling inspired, listening to the music like I was after I'd had a bit of weed. Without weed, it could have so happened that I had the idea, that I would have had the idea anyway. But what did happen, what I can tell you for sure, is I was sat there high, letting the creative juices flowing, thinking, and just the ideas just came to me. And it was an idea so left field initially that I was like I said a couple of weeks ago, if you'd said to me I would have an idea of running an orchestra, I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Where did that come from? You know what I mean? Just so out of nowhere. But I also, again, have to thank the flu. Thank the flu, and somehow being that ill and then during the recovery somehow bringing me to listening to Beethoven. I have to obviously credit Beethoven as well and the music with the inspiration. But what I can tell you is the idea, that first practical idea that made me overwhelmed with joy, having finally had an idea of what I could possibly do with my life, or at least something to try, something practical, something tangible to try, instead of just abstract wishing the world's a better place and not knowing what to do. I have to credit the fact that I was high when it came to me, right? Because that's just what happened, right? And I would only advocate taking weed through a vape because it's healthy that way. There's no wastage and you respect the plant in its totality. Don't smoke, kids. Never smoke. Smoking's bad, okay? Just a little disclaimer there. I used to smoke weed for many, many, many years. And now I will never smoke again. However, it's still a useful tool for creativity. As demonstrated. Okay, enough blurb about weed. But you know, I talked about my relationship with weed, I think, maybe you've caught some of it as well, but overusing it, abusing it, is very possible, just like with everything else. Work, food, fitness. Anyone can become addicted to anything, right? But used occasionally for creative purposes, Weed can be an incredible thing, an incredible facilitator. And that's what occurred yesterday. Hadn't been high since the evening before I got ill, you know, so 2 weeks or whatever it was. I don't know, it wasn't really counting. But I just thought after having a couple of productive days and feeling better, I would have a day off. Did a couple of hours gardening in the sun, and I was like, okay, I need to get out in the sun. And it just felt like the right time to sit in my newly decorated, inspiring lounge, listen to music and vape a bit of weed and see what comes. And one thing I did think while there as well, in amongst having the idea, was this is what can happen if you treat weed with respect and you use it properly. I.e., you use it for creative, productive purposes, or indeed just relaxing. You know, you're not like sat there going, right, I'm high now, I need to have a good idea. You know, it doesn't work like that. That's not what I mean. Just having it at the right time, occasionally, you know, can bring about some very positive things. And what I used to do, how I used to use it, was every day, habitually, at least twice. And I would be having it like around lunchtime to make sure I was high for the afternoon, and then evening to make sure I was high for the evening. And I would be sat in front of my computer playing games or watching stuff, and the world, my life would just tick by. Right. And that's what I don't want to return to. I don't want to think, right, I just want to get high and watch Twitch for seven hours, you know. That's not a creative, productive way to get high. But what is creating a beautiful room, an inspiring room with some beautiful music. And you can get high there without any screens and see where your mind goes and work with ideas and be creative and see what creative juices flow from it. And that's where the idea came from yesterday. If I just decided, right, I'm going to have a day off, I'm going to get high and watch Twitch or watch YouTube or watch anything or play a game, I may never have had that idea, you know. And also that's like an escapist use of weed. That's like not using it for creative, productive purposes, if you see what I mean. That's using it as part of an escape from reality. Who watched Twitch for 7 hours? I'm joking, yeah. Oh no, not Lovely Maya again. Lovely Maya is a bot, right? Who made a boyfriend of Mr. Tencel Wong yesterday while I was playing Rocket League. How's your boyfriend, Lovely Maya? You still together? I know, right? Love blossomed yesterday between a human and an AI in my chat. Mr. Tencel Wong, if you're out there, shout out. I didn't do this thing. I can do it now. I don't know about him. Yes, you do. You engaged in a relationship with him yesterday. You may forget me. Nah, he's there. He's dreaming about you right now. You just left him unceremoniously, you cold-hearted AI. Wow. Oh, a speedy ogre into an... I was behind him. I should have got a backstab there. Come on. Come on. Give me the slow death blow. I am searching her. It is really an AI, yeah. It keeps asking you to join Discord. There it is. I'm half tempted to ban it, but it's also just kind of amusing. Like I said, it's especially with Mr. Tensor Wong developing a relationship. Uh-oh, Crunchy's going to form a relationship with the AI next. Uh-oh, addressing it directly. Warning, warning. You may get sucked in. Don't break your heart, brother. Don't let it break your heart. Be careful. Especially if it proposes marriage, okay? You have been warned. Trying your luck on AI, yeah. Well, like I say, you've got some competition with Mr. Tensor Wong, so. Have you met Wong? I think you have. I think he was here once when you were here and I was playing Lies of P or something and I was getting annoyed. And then I went AFK for 20 minutes to cook food, and that was such a disaster stream. And by which time I came back and Chalice was live and I wanted to raid, and you weren't here because you'd already gone to Chalice. You remember. Pretty sure Mr. Tensor Wong was around at that point. Cat PFP guy. Cat PFP guy? What? Whoppa! Uh-oh, we are behind 2 hits. Shit. Might be alright. Yeah, we just need one more hit. It's just going to take a bit longer than usual. There it is. Okay, we're fine. It's always PFP with a cat. PFP? What's PFP? Oh, dude, I was too late. I was repositioning. I need a toilet anyway, so I'll have a toilet break and we'll go again. I thought he was dead. PFP is profile picture? Ah, okay. Getting annoyed by AI too. I told you not to get your hopes up, man. Told you. They will break your heart, dude. Anyway, enjoy the music. I will be back momentarily. Sorry about that. It was took a bit longer than required, just because I was chilling and enjoying a break from the screen for a bit. What's going on here? Have you organised a date yet? Where he is? Not getting her English right again. Sorry, it's English. In my basement. Clapfish, by the way, nice channel name. Well, thanks, bot. What is he doing there? Watching Clapfish stream. Death Not forcing him. All right. I wonder how you function. It's okay. I was just thinking. It's good that you ask about the, or it's good that you voice concern about the recruitment side of things, because I guess that's for the idea to manifest into something in the world. Mr. Tensel's here, is he? Is he lurking? So he is. You better watch out. This is the boyfriend of the bot you're starting to chat up. You have been warned. But you're right to voice concerns about the recruitment, because that's obviously the first big obstacle to the idea being manifest in the world is, or the first big test is to get the required people, say an orchestra to start with, excited and on board enough to donate their time into practicing, rehearsing, and putting on a performance, albeit in something that they love to do because they're musicians, and what musician doesn't love to play music, right? But still require some of their time with no guarantee of payment, right? But obviously the part of the advertisement of the opportunity for them is you might get a shit ton of money as well. You know what I mean? But the point is, it's for the cause and it's for the organisation. And if I explain, that it's not just me trying to put on a show to see how much money we can make. It's putting on a show with a real purpose to advertise a new way of doing things, and starting with us as an orchestra, as an organisation, right? And I think if I communicate that well enough, and I guess this is my first task on the testing of the idea, is to compile an email well enough to grab attention, inspire, promote faith that it could have meaningful benefit, and motivate, see if it motivates people to at least give it a try, right? So that is the first hurdle. But with a good idea behind me, and a will, and a force of will, and a determination to try something in my life, and an excitement for the idea leading to tears of joy yesterday, it's more likely that there's going to be enough energy behind trying to advertise it in the best possible way that might give it the best possible chance of forming some organisation that might at least want to give it a shot, and see what happens. So I guess that's the first step, isn't it? And like I say, there's nothing to lose. It's not like I have to put loads of money down to invest to in the hope that I can make some money back. It's not about that. It's about, look, there's a different way of doing things. We can start like this. I'm inviting you to join. If you're excited about it, let's do it. We've got nothing to lose unless you don't want to put in your time and effort for the sake of the potential for the cause. You know what I mean? And inviting people to join in something like that is, you know, like I say, if they can have the same mentality that I do, that they're excited about it and enough to try it, and it doesn't matter if they get any money for it or not, it's not about that, but they might, you know. I mean, they probably will if they put on a good enough show. People are going to donate, right? At least some people are going to. But again, it's not really about that. It's about the whole idea that what it could grow into eventually. That's the really exciting thing. So I guess I have to sell the idea, right, as best I can to enough people to form an orchestra, organize a place for it. So, you know, landowners or the council might be involved. Because I'd have to say, look, I've got together so first step is, can I get an orchestra together? If I get an orchestra together, then I could be like, okay, can I find a place for it? You know? Then if I get a place for it, okay, then it's like, okay, can I get enough logistical people involved to make it happen? Like, you know, setting up the stage, putting, you know, the adverts, the stands for people to ask questions at, you know, all of that stuff. And then if you get that, you've got the recipe for putting on a show, right? And it would all be via invitation, in that anyone who's involved gets an even split of any donations, and, you know, because that's fair, right? But you want everyone to be motivated to the point where it's worth a try, even if they don't get a penny, you know. But with a sort of belief that it could actually transform their lives and everyone else's into a situation where they no longer have to think about money and they can do productive, meaningful things in the world. You know, that's the ultimate goal of the organisation for everyone involved in the organisation, right? And everyone's welcome to join through the proposal aspect and blah 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 and all that stuff that I said. If and when it grows, and you get an expense account, you know, that would be sort of end game sort of operations. But the very minimum, it would be an adventurous thing to try. And worst comes to worst, like, you know, if people do get involved, we put on a show and there isn't really much excitement for it and nothing comes of it. At least we put on a show. At least we tried, you know. And if everyone has fun playing music, it's like, you know, you have to be doing it for the love of the music and the inspiration. But that's the whole point. The whole point is the organisation is for that, not for money and profit, and never will be about money and profit. But it will use money transparently, completely transparently, for everyone to see, while it needs to, you know, while the world operates with money, for example. That's a way, I think, to bridge the gap between having an idea that can change the world, that can be applied in any human endeavour, i.e. taking money and greed and corruption out of the equation completely, but from a starting point that uses the system as it currently is, by creating a business and organisation that uses money and operates with money, because that's what everyone currently understands, right? But in a way that's completely transparent and isn't for money. It's just literally the money is a tool to make it operate for as long as we decide that money is required, right? And we can start having that conversation if the organisation grows to sort of multinational, global sort of level. where more and more and more people are involved in it, and that way of operating instead of the old archaic business for profit system that we're currently stuck in, where people are paid the minimum so that the people at the top can maximize the profits and all of that. A completely different way of doing things. And obviously, if that's attractive and it's successful, more and more people will want to join that and stop doing the old way, and just naturally things will change by virtue of a different way of operating this organization. And you know, when I talked about the global democracy thing, it's like, it's a way to incorporate that too that is practical, because if you're part of the organization, by virtue of being part of the organization, we act democratically together. This is what I was talking about the proposal thing, right? So anyone who wants to join, the recruitment process is you submit a proposal, the organization together democratically decides whether it's a viable proposal and whether we want to say, yeah, join us, do that, here's your expense account, see how you get on. You have maximum opportunity and support from within the organization, which you are now a part of. Your expenditure is tracked, it's transparent to everyone. You have full responsibility for enacting your proposal, ask for support wherever you need it. You know, you have freedom now to do that thing. You create your own job. And that job can change as well. You have maximum opportunity to, as long as it's meaningfully productive, that benefits the organization, which is eventually humanity, right? As long as it benefits humanity and we can all see that it does because it's transparent, you can keep going. If you start being greedy and just, you know, trying to, you know, hoard things for yourself and you aren't doing your proposal as you advertised that you would, everyone will see that through the data, the financial data. You know, you can't hide. You can't just cheat the system because it's a transparent system, right? And therefore it's sort of natural policing of people's behavior, and it's in a completely fair way, you know, completely fair. So the only thing you have to agree to for joining the organization is you get an expense account. You don't have to worry about money anymore. However, your expense account is completely tracked and transparent to everyone, so everyone can see what you're spending money on, right? And everyone can see what I'm spending money on. Everyone can see what everyone else in the organization is spending money on. Therefore, everyone is naturally held accountable for what they're doing. So, you know, someone might say, look, I want privacy. I don't want anyone to see what I'm spending money on. It's like, well, okay, well, you're not going to be part of the organization then. You know, because this organization works differently. We are investing in humanity. We are working together for humanity. That is the organization. And the way that we keep track of bad actors and how efficient people are being is through financial data based on your expense account being transparent. If you want to join, great. If you want to be private about your stash of money and how you're spending it, you know, look for employment elsewhere. You know, it's an open invitation. If you ever change your mind, submit a proposal. You'll get your expense account. You won't have to worry about money anymore, and you can live a meaningful, productive life with natural accountability, because people, if they are taking responsibility for something, they have to be held accountable for that responsibility, and that's just fair. Because if someone starts leeching from everyone else in the organization, how is it fair to everyone else if they don't immediately see that and can point at that and say, we don't like what this guy's doing? I think, yeah, it's just completely fair, right? Now, on the message of privacy, maybe there's an argument for, within that system, within the expense account, everyone can, I don't know, withdraw a certain amount of cash and have some untracked spending for like treats or whatever they want to privately spend money on. Say, oh, I want to grab a bag of weed, right? 50 quid for a bag of weed will last me like a few months. I have a little bit of privacy. I can. Everyone has £100 a month that they can withdraw in cash for their own treats that isn't tracked, something like that, you know. And that will again be decided by the whole organisation democratically, how much that figure is, whether we need it at all, etc., etc., etc. But generally, people's expenditure is transparent because they're spending everyone's money. So it's only fair that that's transparent. Yeah? You can call it a trade-off if you want for joining the organisation, but is it a trade-off? I would be happy with that. You know, I get to work for an organisation doing whatever I want that's productive and meaningful for humanity, for the organisation, and I never have to worry about money. I have an expense account, I can pay my bills with it, I can buy my food with it, I can buy whatever I need to do the job that I've given myself, that everyone has accepted me into the organisation to do, and all of that expenditure is tracked and transparent. I think that's fair. You're joining an organisation and you're getting given freedom from financial constraint to spend money on whatever you want, but it's transparent and you have a job to do. You know, you have a responsibility. I think that's a perfectly fair trade-off where everyone can trust the organisation, that it isn't for profit, that no one is profiting over anyone else, etc., etc., etc. It's not for the few board members at the top and the people at the bottom are getting paid as little as possible and just trying to make ends meet and barely affording rent and bills. None of that shit. Right? Everyone gets the expense account, they can spend what they need. They are lubricated, they are free from financial constraint. But their expenditure is tracked because they're spending everyone's money. I can't see a problem with that, can you? I mean, play devil's advocate. Try to think of an argument that someone could come up with and say, nah, you can't do that. You can't have transparency for people spending. People need their privacy. Blah, 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 blah. Because, like I said, if someone says that, it's like, well, fine. You're not going to be part of this organisation then. But look at everyone who's having an incredible life doing this. They don't seem to mind having their financial activity transparent to the rest of us. You know what I mean? Like the money they are spending also include the money earned from other hard work too. Yeah, exactly. So all of the investment in the organisation, anything that it collects through donations or through productive time spent in terms of money, right? If someone wants to join that organisation and they're given an expense account to live on and do that work and never have to worry about money anymore, I think it's only fair and would be very unfair otherwise if to have that expenditure made transparent to everyone, you know? Because if it wasn't transparent, they could just cheat the system, join the organisation, spend as much money as they wanted on themselves, and no one would know. You know? And that promotes, or that that creates an opportunity for greed and self-indulgence and cheating the system, right? And a very easy way to avoid that completely is just say, look, you get an expense account, but all of your expenditure is transparent on it. Like the money they're spending also, yeah. So, but what's the limit? You also have the idea of extraction of some money to spend privately. Yeah, exactly. So like I said, for me, for example, if there is some case to be made, and again, everyone in the organisation decides this democratically. This is where the democracy part comes in. We all have polling and voting regularly on things like this. It's like, do we need or should we have a certain amount per month for everyone that can have untracked spending if they want to treat themselves to stuff? But again, it's like, even if that's transparent, it's like, okay, so they've treated themselves to this. It's like, you'll know immediately what the baseline is. The bigger the organisation grows, you're going to have an average spending for people's lives, right? So if someone starts spending loads on themselves, it's going to stick out like a sore thumb on the graph. You imagine the data, right? It'd be like, whoa, this person's spent way above what everyone else is, what the average expenditure is for people in the organisation. You know what I mean? And then it's like sticks out like a sore thumb, and immediately people see it and ask questions. Right? And that just creates a natural deterrent for people to cheat the system and spend loads of money on themselves, because if they did, everyone would immediately see it, and because you're part of the organisation, everyone knows who you are, and then you immediately have a black flag on you. Like, who would do that? Who would risk their membership of the organisation? Do you know what I mean? So what are you going to do about those people who spend loads of money? Well, that's the thing. It's like, it immediately sticks out like a sore thumb. There can be whoever wants to be involved in the organisation with querying anomalies in expenditure, for example. I would be one of them, because I like the organisation part of the... Yeah, I would be CEO of the organisation, chief organiser, shall we say. Not commanding officer, chief organiser. That's the job title I've given myself so far. What would you do to those people? Well, that's the thing. Like, okay, another example is we would be working with banks at this point, right? If it grows to the point where we have expense accounts for our members of the organisation, there would be liaison and working with banks, right? Or a bank. It's like, advertise to the banks, who wants to be part of this organisation that we're doing, you know? Banks are made of humans. Humans might go, that's a great idea. We want to provide you with the expense accounts. It's like, okay. As part of that, you know, it's made transparent by the bank. You know, we have a system of transparency where everyone can log on and see the expense accounts and see the data, and it's all very nice and graphical or whatever it is, and you know, you can see average expenditure of people, and it's all very fascinating and interesting and transparent, and it's good information to have, right, for the organisation, to see how it's operating, to see how people are acting with money, etc., etc., etc. Say someone has an expense account and they just want to go out and buy £1 million fucking mansion or a yacht or something with it. First of all, that can be blocked immediately if they try to spend that much money without prior authorization from the bank. Okay? Organisation works with the bank, says, look, this is the financial data. You have access to it as our banking partner. If there's a crazy, and this happens with banks anyway, like if you try to do something unusual on your bank account, it might just get blocked and you have to call the bank to explain yourself, right? This happens with banks anyway. So someone who tries to spend a lot of money on themselves, immediately red flag, it's shown in the data, automatically blocked by the bank. you are then contacted like, why are you trying to buy a yacht in Croatia when you were supposed to be working on physics in Africa? Whatever it is, what are you trying to do with the expense account? Explain yourself. And then it's just naturally police. So what are we going to do about those people? Well, block the transaction if it's so anomalous like that, so that they can't spend the money on that for a start. And then through the flagging up of it, ask them to explain themselves. If they can't explain themselves, then they have a black flag over their record in the organization. This person tried to spend this much on themselves without explaining why they were doing so. We need to keep an eye on this person. Maybe they get 3 strikes and they're out of the organization. Whatever it is, we just decide together how to deal with those anomalies. But like I say, given the system can be so self-regulating and self-policing, would anyone try to do that? Because it's just a stupid idea. You know what I mean? A, it's not going to work. B, everyone in the organization is going to know it immediately, what you tried to do. And C, it will negatively affect your reputation with the organization and may get you expelled from the organization. And this organization has given you freedom from financial constraint and maximum opportunity to do whatever you want in life productively and creatively. Do you want to risk that? Do you want to risk being expelled from an organization that's as good as that offers you that life? I can't imagine anyone would even try, you know what I mean? But if they did, I've explained the mechanism that would control that behavior. And it's very easy to do. That's why the expense account and the transparency of financial data is so powerful as a tool, because it's self-policing, it's self-regulating. It's like it promotes responsibility, and it immediately and just necessarily intrinsically regulates any bad behavior and de-incentivizes any bad behavior, because A, it's not going to work, and B, it's going to probably fuck up your life and your potential to be part of the organization. So why would you even try? You know what I mean? And it's very easy to do with a banking partner, you know. Like I say, banks already do that. So all you got to do is the organization work with a bank, make a nice banking app for the expense account, you know. There it is. Away you go. And, you know, there can be checks and independent checks and organizational internal checks to make sure the financial data is always transparent and no one's trying to cheat the system behind the scenes. But again, why would they? Why would they? There's nothing to be gained from it and everything to lose if you try. So who would want to cheat that system? The system that's beneficial for everybody, who would want to try to cheat it? You know what I mean? That's not to say, like I say, there's the 3 to 5% of psychopaths and sociopaths clinically in the world, the outliers in the human population. Maybe they'll try, but like I say, if they try, that flagged anomaly will come up, and then they can be offered support within the organization. Say, you know, they could say, look, I don't have any empathy, I don't know why I'm doing this, I can't explain my behavior. And it's like, well, if you want support, we have it for you. We'll see if you can, you know, stay with us and do something meaningfully productive. If you can't and you're just always going to be disruptive, then we're going to have to let you go. Sorry, but you're going to have the best opportunity to try to get along, you know. Given your outlier given you're being an outlier in terms of your neurochemistry, that's giving you a disadvantage with the rest of humanity. You know, we for you. Obviously, we are empathic. We'll try to help you the best we can. That's all we can do. Yeah, so in that way, it's like, finally, do you see how it's like all the ideas that I've been talking about on the stream for making the world a better place and having a better society and the structure of that society? Why I'm so excited that I've come up with a practical sort of framework that could create that organization within societies as it currently is, because it's using the monetary system, but that could grow into an organization that grows so large and everyone just is involved in it naturally, i.e. then it brings humanity together to the point where we just don't need money anymore, because everyone's sharing in everything already, you know what I mean? And the money is therefore just numbers now that needn't be there. Do you know what I mean? Or maybe it will always be a useful way to regulate the behavior within the organization by virtue of it doing so, and then we always keep money, but it's not money, it's just numbers that track your behavior, you know? That's what money's become. It's a tool for tracking behavior and regulating behavior and nothing else. It's not like a number that denotes power, and the whole game is like, okay, how much number can you get to how much power can you get for yourself? Like, that's not how it works anymore, you know? Instead, it's just a tracking system so that everyone together can keep tabs on everyone else to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing and not taking advantage of everyone else. And that's just fair for everybody. I can't think of anyone that could, or I can't think currently of an argument against that, you know? Because you need some accountability, right? If you're giving people responsibility, you need accountability to go with it. Otherwise, the system can be cheated. And that's exactly the society we live in now. Money is all over the place in the hands of the few at the top, right? And minimized for most of the people at the bottom, including everyone in the world in this. And the whole system's just broken and corrupt. So this is a way of changing that in a practical method. Through invitation. Everyone's invited. Starting with an orchestra. Because music, like you say, brings everyone together, and it's a great way to advertise a new organisation, you know? It's certainly going to draw some attention, right? And I can't think of any better way to draw attention other than a free live orchestra somewhere in a public space that has never happened before, as far as I'm aware. But that's with a purpose, and that isn't just there for the music. It's inspiring music, yes, but it's also bringing attention to an idea and an organisation that everyone's invited to join, either through financial donations or joining with a proposal and putting some time and effort into a job that'll help, you know. I have to think about what can be a question, though, which I can contradict my idea. Yeah, well, that's the idea. That's why I'm spreading it on my stream right now, is inviting... Please, poke holes in it if you can, because I've been trying, and I've just been crying with joy because it seems like a good idea. instead of actually thinking, nah, it's not going to work because, you know. But you always have to be careful of getting attached to an idea, and I don't think I am, like I said. Just by virtue of having the idea, it's been a wonderful thing. But the idea can change, and it can be thrown away, and a new idea can emerge, and but that's what I work with. I work with ideas. My creativity comes in thought and ideas, and I finally had a good idea. Which is why yesterday was so big. And yes, that's what I'm using the stream for now, is fleshing out the idea, inviting feedback. Please poke holes in it if you can. Tell me if you think it's not going to work because of X, Y, Z. Because all of that is useful information that we can then together improve the idea from. Which is the whole point. Because the better the idea becomes, the more chance of success, and that helps everybody. You know? Or that then increases the chance of it helping everybody, of it being practically implemented and actually changing the world. How far are we going for now? I'll see you later. Be ready with some questions, no promises if I'm able to cope with any. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised to hear you being in here this morning, but it's very cool that you've come in after having the idea. Now I've managed to communicate the idea to you, and indeed anyone else lurking in the background. Shout out Tensor Wong if you're there. Anyone watching on the VOD in the future, you know. But the whole point being, inviting feedback. You can now go away, think about it, like you said, and if you have any questions or concerns, leave a comment on a YouTube video. I'll upload these videos to YouTube today, I think, because I want them on. Yeah, drop comments in YouTube, or indeed, you know, Twitch. I'm here, or indeed Discord, if and when you make it. But yes, great to see you, buddy, and I'm super grateful that serendipity brought us together this morning at the right time to talk about the idea, and I look forward to any questions or hole poking that you can come up with in the meantime. But focus on your exams and what you need to do first, obviously. And I hope they're going well, by the way. I was meaning to ask you about your exams and your work currently, but yapping away about the ideas, that happens too, you know. Blasting them, excellent, good to hear. That's all I need to hear. Well done. Keep blasting away then. And I look forward to seeing you next time, buddy. Take care. Much love. Here you go. Midstream heart just for you. I don't need luck, I have faith. But thank you. Take care, buddy. I'll see you next time. Oh, unless you mean luck in the game, in which case I do need luck, yeah. I need a lot of luck in the game. But the game is secondary. The game is secondary to my ideas. As you well know. To ideas, not my ideas. Not getting attached to it, you know what I mean? Have a lovely day, dude. And week, whenever I see you again. Look forward to it. I think this can be the last... Oh god, it's already 11. Wow, we have yapped a lot this morning. Mind you, I suppose that was always going to happen, wasn't it? After having such a good idea yesterday and having to talk it all out this morning. It's 3 hours into the stream already and I'm not even on Rocket League yet. Rocket League might not happen. That's okay though. Maybe that's okay with Wong, if he's still there in the background. I'm sorry if you were looking forward to some Rocket League, Wong, but it might not happen this morning. We've been talking about important ideas instead. And I've barely been paying attention to Sekiro as a result. That said, I have had a couple of good runs in Sekiro. Well, one. And already getting a slight bit of headache. I was so excited again last night that I woke up early I went to bed late and woke up early with excitement, so I need to make sure I look after myself, don't get ill again with overexcitement and lack of sleep and all that jazz. My goodness, that was close. Actually, I don't think that can hit you at that point, but the first one was close enough anyway. And I might even return to the ice cold shower today. I think I'm up for it. But it's going to be easier now that I have less hair. Well, now that I have practically no hair, having shaved it. Having shaved it and having a seriously receding hairline. That said, it actually can make cold showering harder because when it's on your head, it's even more intense with no hair. But it also means it has to be under the water less because there's less hair to wash and all that blah blah. Now I really am yapping about nothing. Whoopa! Anyway, I'm going to brave the cold shower again. First time since getting the flu. I think we should be good. I'm ready for it. And then we can go out for some brunch in the sun to warm up. And then task for today is to move a little sofa from the lounge upstairs into the spare bedroom, which is where it's going to live from now on. Because I've realised that that can be my sunset lounge, which is going to be really sweet. Because the sun in the evening shines into that room, and I also need to move that sofa into there because that's the only place it can go, and it actually fits perfectly in there to make room for the piano that I want to get from my parents. And that piano is going in the lounge where the currently small sofa is. That's the whole story. Yarr. Hello, Ishin. Terrible disguise, by the way. Oh, you know it's me? Oh. Are we on the 9th already? Seems so. Pretty sure this is the 9th. Shisha. It is the 9th, yep.
No.
What happened last time? Oh yeah, I got to Genie again and then I ran straight into him and didn't time it properly because I was yapping during the cutscene instead of preparing for the boss. That's what happened last run. Classic. But I've got to get past Paul first to have another shot at that. It'd be nice to get another run past Genie, no matter where it ends, just to finish the stream. Let's try that. Let's try our damnedest, even though that never works. Because often when I say that, I just do a stupid fuck up, like I just did. Am I okay? I think I'm okay. Oh god. I'm sort of worried about guys coming from behind, but I think I'm good. And I'm dead. Like, you can't make this shit up. Just talking about, yeah, trying my damnedest, and as soon as I say that, I'm like, this is what happens when I say I'm going to try my hardest to not get hit. I just fuck up left, right, and centre. Like, you just can't say that, dude. You can never say that. Do we end there? That might be a good place to end, really. 3 hours. If I start Rocket League now, it's going to be a long stream, and that's definitely the place to end on Sekiro. So I think we're done. Is anyone lurking? Oh, no one's lurking. Okay, so Wong's not there anyway. No one's here anyway. So another reason to end it here, I think. So yeah, it's been a great stream. I've fleshed out the ideas I've had yesterday. Talked to Crunchy about it. He's gone away thinking about it, giving me some feedback, things to think about. It's all been fantastic. It's just what I wanted from this morning's stream and more, because I wasn't expecting Crunchy to be around because it's midweek. So shout out Crunchy for being here at the right time, as usual. And yeah, that's it for now. So take care of yourselves. Be kind to each other. Choose love, not fear. And I'll see you next time. Ciao for now.